It's unfortunate Pokemon news has been ruined by fake leaks, cheaters, but also Game Freak, because they refuse to hype up their games now. Remember Korokoro? That was exciting. Sometime around 2 in the morning, between the 10th and the 14th of a month, we would get some good Pokemon news, but we also had like 2 trailers a month as well, and then news like this, when Famitsu would drop some Japanese exclusive information, and it would go crazy. Now, we got some information, and people are talking about, wait, Toxic is coming back as a TM? But just not hitting like we've seen in Generation 7, but we will take the deep dive into this. So if you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts down below. So yeah, the Famitsu exclusive reveals that Toxic, Grassy Glide, Burning Jealousy, Lash Out, and Poltergeist are returning as TMs in the Teal Mask DLC, which actually makes a lot of sense. New Pokemon in the DLC, new ingredients for crafting TMs, and also kind of explains some of the missing moves. Because wait a second, why just remove the tutors from the previous game's DLC and then not like bring it back? But kind of still weird they're bringing it back for DLC. At least they're going to be used, but then some other TMs. Also, what does this mean for Roost? Some other removed TMs as well. Toxic. A lot of implications on the Toxic. Are we talking about old Toxic? Everyone gets it except for a few Pokemon Toxic. Or are we talking about modern Toxic that is highly curated by Game Freak? Weird thing. So, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl had Toxic return as a TM, but that made sense because it was a really faithful remake to Generation 4. However, they did change the Pokemon that learn Toxic, and then when it comes to modern Pokemon, with the changes in Generation 8 and Generation 9, yeah, you either get it through breeding or level up, and it's very deliberate which Pokemon get it. So is Game Freak still terrified, or are they going to go, screw it, TM06 is back? Now, personally, I think the removal of Toxic as a universal TM made the metagame a lot worse. That, yeah, being able to get Toxic stalled by any random Pokemon was annoying, but it was also keeping stall Pokemon in check by having it accessible on a lot of different tank Pokemon. Now, a Cresselia enters the battle, what are you gonna do? Also, weird things have happened in the meta, so the Pokemon that were allowed to keep Toxic aren't really that viable because of Oko meta, as well as this, like, anti-stall, trick, encore, taunt everywhere, even Whirlwind meta, so they don't really get into Toxic, and they're really predictable on that Toxic as well, but then they get shut down every game, so they're not even played. But because removing Toxic made the stalling problem worse, I want to see what happens if Toxic is just allowed to be old Toxic again, and I don't think it can make the Generation 9 meta even more ugly. We also have the tutor moves from the Isle of Armor, which have had mixed reception in weird kind of ways, because some of them are usable, some of them are niche usable, and others didn't get played at all. I bet you forgot Poltergeist exists. Scale Shot got some experimentation, but never got crazy. Expanding Force, that was pretty big in doubles, but like, will it even get played without the free setting of Psychic Terrain because of Dynamax? I personally think Flip Turn and Dual Wing Beat are noob traps. However, Dual Wing Beat into Terra Flying on Pokemon that were trying to tech it, like, I wonder what Terra Flying Scizor with Dual Wing Beat looks like, especially if it goes like Agility. Terra Flying, Dual Wing Beat just outspeeds and one-shots everything. Okay, maybe something exists there. Maybe it doesn't. Or is it because Terra Blast exists and does the same amount of damage? Actually, Dual Wing Beat is worse because of 90% accuracy. Any Pokemon that's going like Terra Flying, Terra Blast isn't even going to look at the Dual Wing Beat because it doesn't do anything else. Now, Scorching Sands might be the most interesting one because of the removal of Scald. What if Pokemon that get access to Scorching Sands are just viable now? Because they actually can replace that Scald in a couple of ways. Also, like, the ugliness of the meta means if you are getting shut out by an Encore, by a Taunt, and you can throw out the Scorching Sands and pick up a Burn, while also getting some ground coverage on maybe even a tanky-ish setup Pokemon, could get some work done. Status has been very absent from the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet meta, but that's because Golden Go exists and is a way overtuned Pokemon, But even then, Game Freak was like nerfing status before then. Garganasalt also exists, so yeah, like I don't know if this brings it back or shuffles it around, but there's something here that gets a bit more interesting. And then Grassy Glide. It's really crazy how we got 18 tutor moves, and the grass type one that's only viable on one Pokemon became like the most commonly used. So what does Rillaboom's Grassy Glide look like? It's kind of wacky. I was also playing around with the numbers earlier, so yeah, that's a Chien Pao. Chien Pao does not get one shot by Banded, Adamant, Grassy Terrain, Grassy Glide. Oof. You need to Terrastallize, and then you find the one-hit KO. And then everyone is reminded that, yeah, Rillaboom goes up into like 85, 85 and finds KOs, and you're also feeling alright into like 90, 85, feels decent. You got beneficial chance to KO on 90, 90. So we're not like safely, comfortably in the Silvally damage analog. We're still wrecking a lot of Pokemon. And then there's Fluttermane that just gets outsped through the priority and dabbed on because it has no defenses. Hits super effective onto the Iron Bundle. If Iron Bundle terras into a type that's neutral against the Grassy Glide, it still has a high chance of getting KO'd. So this is a big mix-up to a lot of the top common Pokemon. The question is, like, how ferocious is power creep? Is this just not playable because they sit in a Dragonite and there's nothing Rillaboom can do about that? Or does Rillaboom actually become common? That knocks out a lot of the anti-tank Pokemon, and then tanks come back, and they come back strong because of Toxic, but then they can also be susceptible to Toxic themselves, which opens up, like, Terra Poison and Terra Steel play. Also, that's another weird effect of Toxic, that certain Pokemon that are like Steel or Poison type Pokemon, if Toxic is common, they're not going to be as comfortable terraing off of the Poison or Steel typing, because then they're vulnerable to Toxic. So a lot of weird mix-ups just come from this little bit of news. And then when we get into the Indigo Disc, that is going to have its own new moves. And I wonder if they're going to do the thing where it's like, yep, one for every type again. But it looks like Game Freak is not abandoning the old tutor moves, and they might be bringing back some other ones that are also like traditionally weird and tutory, or get like some kind of mixed usage, like whenever Roost comes back. And that's mostly it. After that, we get to see some gameplay, so like new gameplay screenshots. I am very underwhelmed by this in Kitakami. Like, this is the big festival, and it's only 4 stalls. I mean, I guess there's gonna be like interactions. Like, I wonder if this shop is going to provide any gameplay, quality of life or something, maybe for these other stalls as well. And then we do have an update to the Mochi system. There are 3 difficulties and prizes such as Terra Shards and the new Mochi. That's interesting. I hope that this isn't Game Freak's cure to the Terra Shard problem. Like, whenever I see this or any kind of new mechanic, I'm really hoping that one of these stalls is going to black market some Terra shenanigans onto my Pokemon for 25 Terra Shards. That's the biggest change that needs to happen. We got the discounted vitamins in the Isle of Armor, and that was super awesome, so they should be doing similar things for quality of life in the DLC to make up for misses in the quality of life of the base game. Also, the difficulties, hopefully it just doesn't get too annoying. Hopefully it's actually worth it. The reset Mochi is significant, but if it takes like 10 minutes to get one, or if it's like really RNG based, then you're kind of just better off auctioning to a degree. And I guess we're not going to get a discounted vitamin vendor because the Mochi exists, so the Mochi does need to be powerful, or else Ace Academy tournament still wins. And that's always like really unfortunate when a new feature or system is just not a quality of life increase. If this is an annoyingly tedious or difficult minigame to not get enough rewards to justify it, then yeah, it kind of doesn't really matter. Also, funny because we can see the other Ogerpon like forms just in the background. That was also shown through the masks that we've already seen in gameplay, so if you're paying a lot of attention, you could figure that out. And that's pretty much it. So we get to see a bit more gameplay and a little bit of extra features for poses and photos, and we also get like a selfie stick, but I don't really care about that zoomer stuff. 7 years ago, this would be major news that people would happily wake up at 2 in the morning for to get more excited about the upcoming game. But like I said, with all the cheating, that just kind of kills any hype for like gameplay features because, well, everyone's just hacking anyways, and it just keeps on coming out more and more with Pokemon. Also, if you missed my video, I reacted to Wolf Glick talking about the controversy at Pokemon Worlds where he defended cheating and admitted to cheating and it's just a ton of nonsense that makes you lose more hope in people doing the right thing in the Pokemon community. So it's unfortunate, but hopefully the actual gameplay is fun enough to get people back into Pokemon for a little bit, work to get some competitive new Pokemon, because quality of life is still good enough. You got some resources right now. You can go and like have some new Pokemon to try out on the Battle Stadium, even though no one's doing it since it's 99% Japanese players, since Pokemon's dead in the West anyways. And then maybe some fun comes out of it. Like, I'm looking forward to Clefable. I'm looking forward to Superior. But yeah, like, Pokemon's dead. Worlds and all the cheating proves why. And the news would have been cool in a different generation, in a different hype season, because the community is awful. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Wow, that's kind of a rough way to end it. With like, yeah, everything's bad. Hope you enjoy. But hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.